Welcome to a brand new episode. This is Mental Health Matters with me. Thank you for joining. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and dropping a comment. In this week's episode, we are going to talk about a very interesting topic, which, of course, I was bound to talk about it at some point, and I still will talk about it at some point, in relation to family trauma and boundaries and what does it really mean when we talk about boundaries in the family, and for people who have been through traumas and have had bad experiences with family members, how do they go on and protect their mental health? Um, and I must say that this episode is inspired by what recently happened to Zoleka Mandela, who was an activist, an author, and a very inspirational, phenomenal woman who is, of course, the granddaughter of Nelson Mandela and Winnie Madikizela Mandela. And recently, she passed away. May her soul rest. And, it was very tragic as to what happened and what we saw on the news. So if you hadn't really paid any attention to that, you're welcome to look that up. And just to give us an idea of where I'm coming from, there was a moment where, you know, a list of names were exposed. So these are the names of the people that Zoleka did not want at her funeral. And when we go into deep into the situation and actually based on what has been exposed, these are the people that Zoleka did not want to be at her funeral because of the experiences that she's had. And if you go on and read about her and find out who she really is, she went through so much from a very young age and has survived multiple traumas. And these people are people that have inflicted some of those traumas onto her. And, this was her request that when it's time for her to be laid to rest, she does not want these people to be around in that moment. So this has become a very controversial issue all over, and people are saying, but it's so dramatic. Why would you want to have a list of people that you don't want, this and this? So there are many arguments all over the show. And I fully understand, and this is exactly why I want to just have this short conversation over this episode. So I think we need to understand the root of everything. For me to gain clarity on certain things, I go back to the source. I go back as far as I can to where things began, or the beginning of something, for me to have a better understanding of why did this person make this decision, or why did this person say this, or why is this person acting like this. Whatever the case is, I need to make sure I understand the root cause of things. And I think for many people, we lack that ability to actually try and do some research and find out as to what would push this person to make this kind of decision. And I think I have an understanding of her story and where it comes from. Maybe I might, of course, not know every detail, but I have an understanding. And I want us to talk about family traumas. Number one, in the African context, if you're an African person, African child, let me make an example with myself. I'm an African child, I'm a Black kid. I grew up in an African community. Both of my parents are Black, if we still use the term Black, and so on. And what I've noticed in African, let me just rather say African families, it doesn't have to be a particularly Black, a race card. we're not, let's not focus on that, but I think it's an African thing, culturally speaking and ethically and so on. So as an African kid coming from an African household, raised by African parents and so on and whatnot, I realized something. I realized that there is a lot of secrecy. Like, things should always be kept a secret. There are certain things that you're not supposed to say, certain things that you're not supposed to do, and it's a secret. People are not supposed to know. It stays there, or it stays with that person and whatever. And now, keep in mind that whether a situation is good or bad, still it needs to be kept a secret. Still, there's a lot of shame and humiliation that people fear, that once I say this and once I point out at this person and say that this person has abused me and say that this person has done 1, 2, and 3, there's going to be a lot of humiliation and shame upon the family name, and what are people going to say and whatever. This is the theme that I've realized, not only in my own family over the years, but in other families as well. If you meet another person who's African and comes from an African context and family, this is what they would say. There are certain things that I was taught not to say and not to do, because apparently you are protecting the family name, or you're protecting the dignity and the integrity of your family. But the question is, what happens over time? When you grow up and you become an adult and you are still suffering from the traumas and the scars and the wounds and everything that you've went through in the name of secrecy, in the name of, we need to keep this a secret. What happens if you were abused as a child, if you experience certain things that I cannot mention, and you've kept that a secret, and you had to grow up with that and grow up and become an adult? And in your adult life, as an adult, as a wife, as a mother, as a husband, as a father, you are now in a moment where you have to raise kids or raise a kid. You have to be a partner, you have to do this, and you can't do that because of a lot of things that happen to you. And there's a bit of an imbalance there. You don't know how to do certain things because of all the traumas that you've experienced and that you never told anyone. You were not supposed to tell anyone because it's shameful and it's guilt. And even if somebody didn't say to you that, oh, don't say anything, it's shameful and it's guilt, you feel the need, coming from an African context, to say, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to keep quiet, because if I say this, it's going to bring shame. My mom or my dad is going to be ashamed of me. It's going to be embarrassing. The fact that you feel that way, it means that you're not feeling safe. But yet we need to keep the secret information inside our families and all that. This is what's killing us as African people. It's definitely killing us, because people don't know what to do in real life situations. You are married, or you are dating, or you are in a relationship, whatever your situation is, you don't know how to deal with another adult. You don't know how to go about parenting. You don't know how to do anything, because you could not deal with a certain type of trauma that happened to you, and you couldn't even tell anyone about it. So that is the origin of this whole entire thing. This is where this whole entire thing stems from. And in as much as, she did the work, and she did the work, and she did the work, I'm pretty sure that it was really difficult some days. In some instances, you feel like, you are in that moment. You have a flight and fight response sometimes. Someone might say something to trigger you, and all of a sudden it feels like you are that kid, you are unsafe, you're in that moment. It feels like this person is about to do something, but that's not the case. So when are we actually going to be able to realize that all the things that we have kept inside, even to this day, a lot of people walk with things they've kept inside, the things that happened to them when they were small, the things that are happening to them right now in families, in our families. And we are not saying anything. When we see people, when we see the very same people, we pretend, we laugh with them, we smile with them, and so on. And you really think that your trauma, you really think that those things are not going to catch up with you. You really think those things are not going to affect you. This is why, if you are going to say that, oh, for a Black person or an African person, there is no mental health, what is mental health? Then I don't know. Hey, I really don't know. And I absolutely respect other people's opinions and other people's standpoints. But if you are going to say that when there are people that are walking with secrets and are walking with things that are still haunting them to this day, but even when you see the very same person in a family gathering, in a situation that did a certain type of thing that is unspoken of, you still smile, you still, then, it's really a big question. And taking this whole situation that I just spoke about, I'm going to once again talk about myself. Today, at the age of 29 years old, I know for a fact who I do not want to see at my own funeral. And I will absolutely put out that information and make it known, because I also feel like if you have made me suffer, and if you had made my family suffer so much, then why would you want to be at a place, at a moment in my life where I'm transcending? I believe in transcendence. I don't believe that we die as such, but that is my belief. We have different belief systems. I believe that we transcend. You leave the body and you transcend into another form. But that is my belief system. So I don't believe that you should be there when you made my life in the flesh a living hell, and you should be there to see me, or to feel me, rather. Let's just rather say to feel me transcend into a higher realm and leave my flesh. I don't believe that you should be there. That is my boundary. That is my boundary. That's where you stop. And at 29 years old, I know for a fact who shouldn't be there and who should be there. So I think, in as much as we may feel some type of way about this situation, of Zoleka Mandela making a list of people and saying, I don't want these people to be at my funeral, I think what we need to realize is that she was actually placing boundaries. She had the boundaries in her physical life, definitely, but she wanted to make sure that in that important moment of her life, the boundaries are still in place. And that's exactly how you sometimes have to deal with family traumas. You sometimes have to deal with individuals that have made your path on this earth a living hell. Not because you did something and they're trying to get back to you or whatever. No, but because they chose to make your life a living hell. And how would I say that I put boundaries in my physical life? I don't go to certain events where I know that there are going to be certain people in the family. I don't attend certain events where I know there will be certain people that have indirectly or directly inflicted trauma into my life. I don't talk to them. There's also another factor. I don't have any communication and any contact with people that have impacted me in a negative way. And those are my boundaries. This is how I protect my peace. This is how I'm able to focus on my life. One thing that I learned from a grandparent, my grandparent who passed away and who was a parent really to me, is how, how loving and how open she was. It's almost like she did not have boundaries because of the fact that she just used to give and take care of everyone. She used to give and take care of everyone and take care of people in the family, whether it's distant family, immediate family. She was just that kind of person. And how she had to pass on is another episode and another trauma that I'm still living with every day. Because, what I'm just trying to say is I actually learned from that experience not to play with my boundaries. I've learned to be the kind of person. I think I also said in the previous video, I watch my back. I don't trust easily. I don't want anything to do with anything that is not healthy, that is not going to benefit me, that does not have the best of intentions for me. I have my walls up. I have boundaries. I have boundaries. As to whether I want to attend a family event or not, that's another question. But my boundaries come first because I want to protect myself. I don't want to pass on the way that she passed on at the hands of the people that she gave her life for. And at the end of the day, they did her dirty. At the end of the day, they are part of the reason why she had to pass on. It's crazy. I'm feeling very passionate. I just feel like screaming when it comes to this particular topic that I'm addressing. But all in all is boundaries. All in all is boundaries. At the end of the day, put boundaries. If you want to protect your mental health, if you want to protect yourself, it doesn't have to be so traumatic actually. Maybe let's just say nothing really traumatic happened in your case, but there are certain people that you don't vibe with. There are certain people that you don't understand. There are certain people whose energy does not relate rather with your energy. And you feel the need not to share the same space. You feel the need not to be with those people. Go ahead and put boundaries. Go ahead and put boundaries. A lot of our parents and grandparents will not tell you things that their own family members have done to them. But because they grew up in this, I can't say anything, I just have to pretend it's a secret. It has really messed up their lives. So we are liberated. We are at a place where we can put boundaries. If you don't want to attend that event, if you don't want to do something, you don't want to do it. You do not want to do it because you are protecting your peace and you're protecting your well-being at the end of the day. So this is what I just wanted to talk about. And I felt like this is a perfect time considering that Zoleka Mandela has passed on recently, and this was something that was just all over. And I felt like a lot of people did not understand the meaning of boundaries and did not understand why we need boundaries. We need the boundaries to protect ourselves. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all your support. Remember that you can always catch me on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and as well as TikTok if you are a TikTok person. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Take care.